Hello, everyone, and good morning. I'm your host, Keenan. Welcome to the July 14th, 2022 weekly DXdao Community Call. Please bear with me today. If you can't tell, I have some kind of throat illness, maybe taking a little bit of a back seat to our other speakers. But today we have a very important celebration, 3 years of decentralized on-chain governance at DXdao, which is very exciting. It's a massive milestone, accompanies another year of learnings and outlooks going into our fourth year. Rumor on the street says there may be a POAP to celebrate this. I can give a little bit more context on that a little bit later in this call. Before we get started, you can find the upcoming calls in the events tab at the top of the server in Discord here under the banner. You can opt into events, you'll get a ping before it starts, and we're going to try experimenting with other call info and events there. So keep an eye on it, sign up if you are interested. Without further ado, let's hop right into the agenda today. Before we start with the celebrations, we're going to kick things off with some recaps, starting with governance. Chris, do you want to get us moving on those?
You know, I was preparing for my other part in this call so much that I forgot that I have to do the governance recaps. But yeah, governance going on as usual. A lot of payments on Gnosis chain. A couple cool proposals live right now on mainnet. I think we have about 7 proposals live right now on mainnet. One is an update to Swapr .eth, which I know we'll get to in a bit, and then there is also a big transfer proposal for 1 million USDT to the Gnosis chain base. This will be converted to DAI and USDC on the way there. There's a big audit proposal for Carrot V1 from Sigma Prime. And then I think most excitingly, there's several rep syncs from some longtime contributors. So these are folks that have earned 6 months to a year of mainnet rep through their worker proposals, but that has only been on Gnosis chain, and this is them claiming that mainnet rep there. So there's one from Ross and Zet there, some kind of workings of governance there, and maintaining the building blocks of governance. I think as Sky put it, maintaining tidy rep. So yeah, that's kind of what's been going on with governance.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. Next up, Treasury. I think we have Dave here. He was having some issues. Oh, looks like we have him.
I'm here and finally managed to access Discord.
Nice.
But yeah, like Chris said, I think the main proposal currently on mainnet is a $1 million transfer to Gnosis chain. So, we've been on Gnosis chain for almost 1.5 years, I would say. Not quite, but almost there. And due to the cost of transactions, etc., of course, a lot of the worker proposals are happening on Gnosis chain. In fact, we also have larger money transfers, so to speak, like audits actually being paid out on Gnosis chain. So we're actually moving our holdings 1 million in USDT over to Gnosis chain. And, Chris already spoiled a bit my announcement here, but that will be split 60% in XDAI, which is pretty much what everyone claims. Given that it's the native token over there, and 40% into USDC. So USDC is what we have a lot of auditors, for example, claim. And one advantage of holding USDC as well on Gnosis chain is, given that it's a ERC20 token and not a native token, we can also just trustlessly exchange that into wrapped XDAI, then unwrap it into XDAI. It gives us a bit of flexibility if needs arise for other stablecoins. But that's the big proposal we have live currently, and it's passing in a couple of days, I believe.
Excellent. And then just a quick comment from Chris here. He says, I thought you were going to talk about Rye. I'm not sure if there's any updates there, or that's a joke I might have slipped over.
I think that was a joke. Yeah, I think that was a joke.
I thought it was a good joke, so.
Cool. And then the last recap here would be the buyback. And I'm not sure which of you two would be the best to speak to this, but just a little bit of an update and maybe that on-chain trading data as well.
Yeah, and so the last update for the on-chain trading, I think, was last Friday. And so that had declined a little bit from the previous 3 weeks. I think it was about 4 or 5% to $50,000 average. And so that's, kind of in line with the overall market. And so that is affecting the size of buybacks. There's about 120 ETH in the GP relayers set for additional buybacks. And so those are still ongoing. I think the speed has slowed a little bit, and I think that's kind of, okay, as the whole buyback program, it was authorizing these purchases a certain amount there. But yeah, that 100 will at some point deplete. And then there's about 110 other ETH left in the buyback reserve that can be put towards the buyback in the same parameters. And I think once that's done, I think one of the exciting things is working on like a DXd burn proposal. Because the last buyback extension and adjustments per proposal have clarified how the DXd is to be allocated. So the ones that just do buyback reserves to be burned is really cool. Funding or every day, it'll be something like 12,000 DXd or something. So not yet, so for two. And yeah, we're working on a post. Hopefully, actually, if you're Dave, we'll probably get up tomorrow afternoon about kind of next day steps for buyback there after this kind of 110 ETH runs out in the GP relay.
Caught most of that, Chris, but just so you know, seem to be having some mic garbling internet troubles, perhaps.
Weird. I'll switch to Wi-Fi, but I thought my Wi-Fi was bad and mobile would be better, but let me try.
Cool. We'll let you switch over before we move on to our next topic here, which I will introduce as soon as you're ready. Fingers crossed. Birds radio over lo-fi radio. Referring to Chris's birds.
Yeah, my street is not as busy as New York, so it's not as loud. So I can sit on it. Maybe the birds are there. I switched over to Wi-Fi. I'm not sure if that's better. I can try going inside, but I think there is a somewhat noisier baby.
Yeah, I think it's better so far, at least. Well, let's hop to our next topic here, the 3 years of on-chain governance celebration. First of all, massive congratulations to DXdao as an organization for 3 years of on-chain governance. It's a radical experiment in coordination. There's been some bumps in the road, but above all, we keep continuing to drive forward and build. There's a fantastic article coming out any minute now here on DXdao socials. It'll run through some history, future outlooks for DXdao, and etc. We'll have some thoughts from long-term DXdao contributors as well. But first, I'd like to hand this torch over to Chris to run through some of the topics on that article.
Sure, and make sure and shout if I turn into a robot or as just type feverishly. Yeah, and so there's a article, I guess, I don't know if we're sharing the article or that's there, but I thought it might be kind of helpful to talk through this outline that I kind of used in framing this. And so we did an article last year on celebrating 2 years of on-chain governance, and I found it's kind of a good opportunity to just take stock of different things that DXdao has done and kind of put them into one place as a snapshot and kind of come back and look at it. So this is kind of meant to be a cohesive overview. So it tries to touch on everything, which means we can't get into that much detail. But obviously it's kind of tilted to the thinking of right now and where DXdao is kind of last year and going forward. So yeah, just thinking about like the core elements of DXdao here, and you start with like the decentralized origins, and so DXdao being started by Gnosis and DAO Stack to judge the Dutch X protocol, but really in a interesting to take a stake in the governance power of DXdao because they wanted DXdao to remain decentralized from the beginning. And this really is in such a sharp contrast to every project out there. I really don't know any project that has this type of beginning. Maybe the only exception would be Yearn, and with the YFI, what they call fair launch there. That one being like kind of the first one, and also one that was very involved with like tons of early DeFi users. I think the distribution of YFI was very kind of widespread and if you could say so, like decentralized. And I don't think it's coincidence that like YFI and Yearn, I think, also have one of the other more interesting governance or DAO stories out there. And if you look at some of the things they're doing on contributors and the way that they're structuring DAOs, I think they're also experimenting well. And I think that could come down from their origin story. So I always think it's kind of important to frame that with DXdao, because like that distribution of governance power is so important. Tokens obviously is typically how this is represented, but in general, like who has a say, and if people have an outsized amount, and the fact that DXdao had a big distribution early on to a wide variety of people, obviously primarily in the Ethereum community, people that are active in 2019 there, but that's a really special distribution, and it's one that can be built on top of. Right, it's not like a distribution that should exist in eternity. It's more of when you're kind of forming like this like organic goo of like new life, you need all of these different elements, and you don't need kind of one dominant one, because then you have that. And so I think it's really important to have that there, and that obviously I think kind of carries to this day in really everything DXdao does in terms of striving to push for like decentralization in all elements, because I think it is part of the origin story, and I think it is it's like almost something that it's DXdao's calling, or it's DXdao's like role in this space, I think, to do that. So anyway, I think in addition to decentralization, obviously the other core tenets that kind of flow from that is the reputation-based governance system, and being non-transferable, or wow, this is a big difference from a year ago, because we now have a new word to describe this, soul-bound. Soul-bound governance, meaning this is not token governance that can be bought or sold. And again, like DXdao is really a pioneer in this space. There are some others, Moloch and the DAO House, that use this model, but just like having that distinction early on different, I really think sets DXdao on just a different type of DAO development course than all the other governance out there that you see. That is really driven by like DeFi success, and you have the DeFi token distribution there, and that reputation-based governance system enables a lot of interesting things. We can talk about maybe it enables better product development, and maybe it enables better long-term thinking. But in terms of DXdao, we've already seen that it enables better governance in a multi-chain world, because that reputation system can be ported to different chains and copied in a way that tokens cannot, right? Because tokens can only have one supply that is across all chains, whereas reputation, since it's non-transferable to an address, it also actually means it's non-transferable to that specific chain. And so I think that's something that will continue to benefit like DXdao in the future. And I also can see, I think, in multi-chain governance in general, either it runs the route of bridges are so fast and messaging is so fast that you don't need different bases. But I still think you'll need kind of some major bases and ways of functioning there. And I think the reputation-based system is very good for that. And so that's kind of like, I think, when I think of the core elements of like DXdao and those things, and kind of how governance functions, but really like how the products function, right? I think all the products being multi-chain, and I think like the decentralization element runs through DXgov, Swapr, kind of Carrot, everything that's going on. In terms of new developments in the last year, I think the big development from a year ago is people in the DXdao community are like seeing each other in person for the first time. And so I would argue like the first one of a DXdao, I don't know what a collective noun is for DXdao community members. Like, we should think about that one. But I guess when you get above 6 or 7. But anyway, the first time I think was probably at ETHCC in Paris at the end of July. So it's kind of fitting that we're talking about that the week before here. But after ETHCC Paris, there was, of course, ETH Lisbon, which was a big, I think, moment for DXdao, where a lot of folks came together for the first time, and we had a retreat, and I think really explored a lot of different things. And then you have ETH Denver, which I think was a great time, not just for like the DXdao contributors, but also the community members, people on this call meeting for the first time and kind of having that. And it really kind of shows that different community members who may, maybe you're DX Ventures or maybe you're involved in other projects or related, like there is kind of some connection there and some alignment. And so it's good to have that through in person there. And then, ETH Amsterdam there too, where I think the narrative is kind of starting to shift, where it's not just DXdao getting more experience with itself or like meeting each other or kind of doing that, but part of going and out there being open is expanding the brand and spreading the gospel of decentralization, DXdao. That's what I think kind of one of the bigger developments of the past year. And then I think you see like a little bit more. I said this word in the piece is fractionalization, right? Which I think is some type of different hierarchy that's formed. Right, like I think fractionalization implies like a different relationship between these entities that is not exactly like, oh well, they all like meet at one point. And I don't really know how like this takes the form like going forward. There's a whole bunch of things like that this could happen. It's like both on chain and off chain. But I think in the last year you've seen a little bit more of like this like fractionalization, which also could be like specialization, right? Where you have different groups that are entrusted or working on things, and maybe governance and defers to these different groups. And so I think you have this with squad formation. DX Voice really kind of emerging and bringing on and kind of carving that as a niche there. And then Swapr, I think, being the best example of this. Obviously, in the last year, the Swapr token was launched, and that distribution has begun, and that is kind of again part of that like fractionalization process that I think DXdao is ongoing. And then the like extendable ideas, like these are the things that we're kind of doing every day and wearing as a badge without maybe necessarily knowing it. And so I think like the first one that's maybe just really underrated about blockchains in general, even though it's like the core basis, is this idea of transparency. And so DXdao, just by definition, has to do everything out in the open because the operations are on the blockchain, right? And so since things are on the blockchain, everyone has to be able to see it. So if there's a payment going to some address, like it's just impossible to obfuscate that from anyone, right? And so that has downstream effects in terms of how DXdao operates and kind of functions that I think is really important to how it develops and governs, I think, long term. We think about what makes DXdao different in terms of like, why is it going to be better at governing DeFi protocols than other like DeFi groups, and I think it's because of certain elements of the governance that will help open that up. And I think Swapr, for instance, is already seeing this. Swapr, obviously, in terms of like being the only front end owned by a DAO, is really unique. But then that has like downstream effects of like, well, then there are no analytics like on Swapr, and it's hard to do certain user targeting things in this like transparent world there. So I think there's a lot of things there that will continue to affect how like DXdao governs and builds products around transparency. And I think you see this really also in the last month or two activity in crypto. The CeFi lenders that no one knows what's going on, that are a black box, those all got rocked, right? Those blew up. But if you can like see the books on chain, right? It's just a better system. It's more resilient in lots of ways. And so I think like that's something that could extend into governance here. And then, we're almost rounding it out here. But, I think the future of work is something that is oft cited now, even before COVID. There was, this gig economy. There's going to be different ways of people like working together. But I really think there is something about empowering like everyone to be like in control of their own work and like work scope. And I think there's something special about how DXdao like has contributors that submit their own scope of work, but of course this can be like influenced by different contributors, by governance, right? But that there's some new type of non-coercive relationship, I think, between contributors there that is really kind of cool. And then I think that affects like the culture and how we build different things. Obviously, everything is going to be decentralized, spread around the world, and so we have our contributor X Squad has been really exploring this a lot, and I just think the foundation and the tenets of governance just open up a whole bunch of like interesting elements when it comes to building like new processes for how people work. And so we've got our review system. We've been using Coordinate. And so lots of, I think, exciting things there to keep exploring. And then my favorite word, of course, sovereignty, which is, autonomous. It's really this idea of whatever is on chain, right? Whatever people are defining as like the core governance power, like having that really maintain sovereignty over the most valuable things. And I think that's really important for, decentralization. And I think you can see this again in the last couple months, not just in the CeFi world, but also just in some of like the governance of the other snapshot ones, and how it really, I think, cheapens the conversation or the discussion or the dialogue that you would have from the community if they're actually making the real decisions about what's going to be executed on chain. And I think having like sovereignty associated, valued, and like the infrastructure, the technology to have that really like enlightens your governance community to make better decisions, because like they truly feel empowered. So I think that's really important, and I think that's something that DXdao is again pioneering here. ENS is like the best example of this. It's like one of the first things DXdao did. I think the first website maybe went up in August. There's some tweets from Geronimo about this that are pretty cool. But I think that's like a really kind of cool thing that, again, just it has so many ripple effects to how products are governed, how products are worked on, just because you like actually do have that like base core sovereignty there. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for bearing with. And I think there is a post if you're interested in sharing this more, because hopefully this is maybe something that can be used to, maybe you're not reading it all at once, it's kind of lengthy, but more as like a background to someone who's kind of interested in maybe what the unique things about DXdao.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you very much for your time, Chris. I've shared the article here in the chat. You could have caught it earlier with the Twitter or Discord link that me and What4 or Wayne have shared. But please read through. Super fantastic article. Great work, Chris. I want to give some time now, since we have a couple of long-term DXdao contributors here. Would like to invite some to speak, how DXdao has affected them, what they see for the future of DXdao, what their feelings are for the future of DXdao. So we have Augusto here. I'm not sure if you would like to speak. I think we also have John, also maybe Chris as well. It would be great to have you. I see you've unmuted. Good morning, John. I just see.
I can't hear Augusto. I don't know if he's trying to talk.
Yeah, I'm seeing the same.
Yeah, but I mean, it's been a crazy ride already with DXdao. I think that was a great recap by Chris. And yeah, it was actually the very first proposal that passed DXdao. I think it was like in August of 2019, and it was to set, kind of set the. I think it was just the ENS like name to set the, I always forget what they call this in ENS, but we basically set the name so that it's the recipient address when you send money or whatever. It was like setting that on DXdao.eth. And yeah, that was the very first proposal. So kind of like pioneering how to do things in a decentralized way has like always been what DXdao is about. And I think that's going to be a big part of the future, and of course that's going to involve finding better ways to do governance, implementing like our ideas around governance, and continuing to push how we can be decentralized, and how we do governance is a big part of that. How you manage products, I think there's a lot of room to innovate in, and I think beyond that too, it's how do you scale an organization. So like I think DXdao is maybe not unique in blockchain, but has a structure, that where decisions are made by consensus. And I think this is powerful in a lot of ways because it opens up the decision making to sort of like anybody who's willing to put forth an idea and able to get it passed. But I think we're still operating in a relatively small scale, right? Like we have something like 25 contributors, and I'm not entirely clear that we've like figured out how to scale an organization kind of beyond that with the type of structure that DXdao has. And I think that's sort of something that needs to get figured out. And I feel like at the heart of all of blockchain stuff is incentives, and how do you kind of set up incentives in a way that they work and scale. And I think Bitcoin is the first good example of this, and the incentive structure is the block reward for the miners, and it sets up with the issuance, and then it, in theory, transfers over to the transaction fees if it works, which I guess we're not so sure about right now, but that's a whole other story. And I think stuff like what DXdao is doing with Carrot, not only can it improve upon some of the trends and tools we've seen implemented in DeFi, like yield farming and this kind of thing, and even helping with incentivizing grants or milestones, or like setting up milestone payments for fundraising. I think like having a flexible incentive platform could be used even in the actual like structure of an organization, and defining people's roles and giving them incentives. So yeah, I'll try to avoid my speech about BTC and its future and focus on DXdao, but that's kind of like high level what I see as like the challenges and also like the opportunities coming up.
Seeing Augusto trying to speak again. We still can't hear you, man. Yeah, try rejoining. I'll reinvite you.
What about now?
Loud and clear.
Okay, awesome. Sorry. For me, it's insane. It's crazy. Now looking backwards, when I started working for DXdao, just giving a hand on DX Trust, creating the DXD token to raise some funds and make DXdao and start DXdao, because we at that time it didn't really have any funds. I mean, we were raising funds, right? Now seeing what it became, it is crazy. It is literally insane. I will never imagine that I will be years after that, still traveling, living the life that I want, working where I want to work with like-minded people on a truly decentralized autonomous organization. I mean, we kept it real. We didn't merge with the system. We stayed out of it. We are still working, and we are growing, and we are even organizing a hackathon. Like, that's crazy how much how far we have gone, right? And if you start thinking about it, or the work proposed, or the people that came and went, and yeah, all the process, or the adventure that we have been into for this year, and where is it going? Because we are here, we have funds, we have plenty of money for the following years to keep it up, to keep the good work, to keep creating, building, forking, investing, making more money. So yeah, I also, well, for myself, I always felt super comfortable working here. And I think this is the great thing about DXdao, that we grow at our pace and we were able to attract and to build this organization around like-minded people, which is the ones who are here to the call. And some people, it's too sad that we don't have, I don't know if Hero is here, but he was here from the beginning. And yeah, for me, it is crazy. If you start thinking about it, truly decentralized autonomous organization, that's what we are.
I'd like to call it a fun fact, but Augusto's right. There was no capital before the bonding curve was launched. The only capital in DXdao was the Gen token that was part of the initial staking period and governance launch. That some people had sent Gen in to get reputation, and so there was a couple 100,000 Gen token, and that was worth something. Maybe like 10 grand or 20 grand or something, but not significant funds. And I like to talk about how if you make a proposal in these DAO stack DAOs, which DXdao is, and you want to send something like ETH, and if that ETH is not in the Treasury or in the DAO, a proposal can still be made and passed, and then the person who was supposed to get the ETH eventually can collect it if and when the DAO gets the ETH. So in a way, this is a way for the DAO to go into debt, because you can pass these proposals that say, so and so will do something, and they're supposed to get this ETH, but the DAO doesn't have this right now. And that was actually the case for DXdao from September until the bonding curve started raising Ether. There was some proposals that some people, including myself and Augusto, were working under that was effectively the DAO being in debt, which I think is interesting. I don't know if there's other DAOs that have even gone into debt before, but fun little fact there. And technically, I lied a little bit there. There's actually another source of funding between initial staking period and the bonding curve, and maybe that can be on our trivia if anybody can guess what that other source of funding. It was not very significant, and I'll give you a hint. There's some traces of it still in the Treasury.
Just reminds me of the trivia we did with the One Hive folks. We should definitely do something in-house that is similar in nature. Yeah, thank you very much, Augusto, John, for piping in here. Maybe Chris, do you have anything to add to the discussion as another long-term contributor?
No, that was sweet. Yeah. Yeah, I think we kept it real, Augusto, as Augusto says. Yeah, it's just such an interesting time, I think, in thinking of the world and markets too, right? In terms of 2019, Ethereum bear, COVID, this nutty 2021, and now going to something else. So yeah, traversing through maybe not hostile environments, but new environments.
Yeah, we definitely need that quote on a shirt, or in 10 years we'll be looking back. The genesis of DAOs, Augusto's "We kept it real" will be the number one quote. Cool, guys. Well, thank you very much to everyone that spoke up here. One quick comment on the POAP. Due to a couple external factors, we've been put through a longer curation process to get our POAPs through the POAP governance process, POAP rugged, as Dave says in the chat. So POAPs are not currently ready to claim now, but I have been keeping track of all of the call participants in a list. I'm doing a couple of snapshots, so those of you that just joined for 5 minutes are not going to get a POAP. Those of you that have been around for the whole call, chances are you'll get something nice coming your way in the next days here. Only here for the POAP. Well, you're going to need to stay a little longer then, Dave. But yeah, exciting stuff. The POAP is animated. A bit more info on that coming out in the next days. Might have a separate announcement now that we're not able to share it first here in the call. But we'll keep it secret till we can launch it together in one little bout. Yeah, link to the POAP in the article. Cool. Yeah, so thank you very much, everyone, for speaking. Lots of fun to be had here with the celebrations. Keep your eyes open for the POAPs. We'll be taking some snapshots, have already, and will going forward for the rest of this call, and chances are you'll have something nice coming your way. I think if you read the article, you can find a little teaser of that POAP as well. Awesome. Well, next up on our regular agenda here is Swapr v14.2. I think we have Adam here in the audience. We'll invite you to the stage. But if you haven't heard, launched Swapr v14 and have needed to make some quick adjustments to it. So would you like to tell us a bit about that, Adam?
Okay, took me a while to find the unmute button. Thank you. So we plan to release Beta 14 a while ago, like 2 weeks ago. We've done the initial release, and then we looked that we have a few final fixes that we could probably push before putting a on-chain proposal or inviting the community to put in an on-chain proposal. That happened on the weekend. Luckily for us, our super shadowy deployer, as we like to call them, have done a proposal. I think it's gonna pass in around 22 hours, and then maybe I can probably go over the new changes in this release. So maybe, obviously, the biggest one is the cow integration, or basically cow swap, or another new decentralized interface to access the cow protocol beside the usual cow swap. So now you can route your trades through cow protocols, and that gives you like MEV protection. And then we also redesigned the liquidity page. I believe this has a few adjustments in the design that going to be easier for you to read some of the information about the liquidity mining campaigns and the staking campaigns as well. And then we've also added Connect's network, so that's also another bridge, and also the native Gnosis chain bridge or the Omni bridge into the Eco route or in the Eco bridge. But also we've also in the previous version we have added socket support for the Eco bridge, but this time we've also expanded it to the Polygon network, so you can route all of your assets from Polygon to other support chains that we do on Swapr. And that's about everything that Beta 14 has. And while this proposal is passing, we've also decided to prepare Beta 15. Maybe I'm just gonna give you one hint, and that's going to be that this is going to have like 0x integration and a few other small changes and a slightly better improvement on the performance on the Eco router. And I believe, did we paste it on the chat? Or should I did?
Paste which in the chat, sorry?
The release notes. Do we need them?
Yes. Posting those in the chat would be great.
Yeah, there you go.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Adam. Exciting stuff on the side of Swapr. Obviously, catching some wind of some more fun things around the Odyssey, but we'll have to stay tuned for that. Next up here is ETHCC and Paris Blockchain Week. I wanted to chat a little bit about the DXdao Gnosis Chain Mixer and the Swapr awareness campaigns. I think we have Nathan here on the stage. Would you like to kick off that discussion?
Thanks, Keenan. Everyone's really excited for ETHCC and Paris. Fun fact, a lot of us don't even have tickets, but that doesn't dampen our enthusiasm. We've done it before. We'll hang out with awesome people, spread awesomeness, talk about great tech, innovation in the space, show some of the amazing projects we've been working out throughout the year, and have fun along the way. DXdao has partnered with Gnosis Chain, Gnosis Safe, and GitPoApp to organize an amazing rooftop party on July 20th, and the guest list is packed. There's been oversubscription, there's such a huge demand. We had limited spaces, but we had more than probably close to 700 people apply. It's crazy. FOMO is big and everybody's really excited. DXdao is organizing a really fun and engaging Swapr awareness campaign. There will be custom labeled beverages. There'll be interesting flyers, swag, and we are known for perfect swag and stickers. I think if there's a contest, we'll hands down win because we have amazing designers. And yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Nathan.
I don't know, particular questions? Am I missing something?
I think the one thing, and apologies if I missed it here, was kind of handling some POAP stuff. But the one thing would be the game for kind of waitlisting, and the one that exists now and any potential ones that we have coming forward. Anything you'd like to add around there?
Yes, indeed. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, I know for a fact that we have a few very keen community members of ours in our Discord server that are actually, I believe, from France. If they happen to be available and can attend, please head to our Twitter page. There is a prompt for you to share why you love decentralization and what inspires you in the space. Just share how you feel, and you may get a chance to get a VIP pass to our rooftop party.
Excellent. Just grabbing the link to that now. Wayne's always a step ahead of me. The link that What4 put in the chat, that there is where you can share a bit about why decentralization is important to you, what you have that's going on in the space that's interesting to you. Just tell us a bit about why you think that you should be allowed into this event. And we'll be releasing a couple of tickets. So anyone that's passionate and in Paris, please feel free to reach that thread, share a bit about what you have going on, and hopefully we'll see you there. Dave is passionate and in Paris. Well, if you're not on the list, you're going to have to fight for it, man.
And also, if you are passionate and not in Paris, I will read your passion for decentralization, and I don't know what else I can promise, but I will read it.
Yeah, I realized it when I said it. Thanks for the egalitarian reminder, Chris. Yes, you don't need to be from France. As long as you have the availability to join us, feel free. And even if you can't join us, to be honest, please pour your heart out. Tell us why you love decentralization and what we're doing. We'd love to read it and amplify it.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you very much. Nathan here. Any other final questions, thoughts on ECC or Paris Blockchain Week? Feel free to reach out in the chat. Feel free to step up on stage. And if not, follow the link by What4 here above in the chat and tell us why you love decentralization. Cool. And our last important topic of the day is an update on Infinite. There is some bubbling discussions of a second co-organization and unofficial awareness campaign. I'm not sure who the best to speak to this is. I think we have Augusto, John, and Nathan around that all would like to speak to it to some degree. Is that correct?
Yes.
I just see that Augusto's trying to talk again and having the same issue as before. Let me get him back into the stage here.
Hola. Okay, this is weird. Discord doesn't allow me to come back and speak. But now you can hear me, right?
Yeah, it sounds like Discord doesn't like you because you don't like it, to be honest.
Yeah. I don't like it. No. Okay. Regarding Infinite Hackathon, yeah, we have been talking with HoperNet, which is going to be officially announced super soon on our website, on the Infinite website, as the second co-organizer, which leaves room to other 3 more co-organizers to be announced. And yeah, we are going to be sharing more details about that, what is something that we need, and this is where the unofficial awareness increase awareness campaigns, games that I think DX Boys has been planning around that, and it's going to be taking place, most of it in Paris, right?
Yeah, so maybe Nathan, if you have a little bit to share about kind of the stickers and what we have going on there.
I'm sorry, I got
Let's-
distracted. I was typing. I heard stickers and Paris.
Yeah, well, there will be lots of stickers in Paris, but namely the infinite kind of unofficial awareness campaign starting with Paris, namely the stickers. I'm not sure if we have a teaser we can do. I'd love to do that.
Yeah. In fact, maybe this is the right place to chat about something really interesting. I'll share some alpha. DXdao is really David going against Goliath with organizing this no bullshit, pure developer hackathon. No sponsors, and we do it with the right intentions. And I'm really excited to hear from Augusto that we got the co-organizer spots getting filled by the hour, and we only got like 3 spots left. So anyone who's got an organization in mind that they feel is aligned with our ideals and would be a perfect partner, let them know so that they could apply on time, and we will consider them for the co-organizer spots. And for those who missed the beginning of the call, I would say today is a holiday. DXDAO's got 3-year on-chain governance anniversary. Everybody's elated. We're celebrating. So we have a fun surprise. We've decided to leverage Initiative DAO, the project that got launched by DXdao earlier this year. And we will be buying $1,000 worth of DXD tokens from the open market to offer a reward for 2 hackers. That's $500 in DXD tokens each. And the condition for you to get a chance to win this reward is to apply for the Infinite Hackathon before the end of August and get approved. So don't wait, don't sleep on it. And you're hearing this first on DXdao's community call. It will soon be announced on social media.
Man, I'm applying now, like right now. I can buy
Let's go.
10
go.
bottles of Fernet with that.
Yeah.
We're going to have Augusto L alongside Augusto A through Z applying to the hackathon. But yeah, apply now if you're interested, if you will be in Bogota. I think it is very... crypto moves fast. I'm sure a lot of people don't even know that they will be visiting Bogota for a couple more months yet. But we'll be looking into other incentives and community-related things to get people applied ahead of time here. So, of course, thank you for the alpha, Nathan. More on that coming soon. Apply now to infinitehackathons.eth.limo. Cool. So opening the door here to any open questions, topics, anything else on Infinite that anyone on stage wants to talk about. Fantastic call so far. Opening that door here. Otherwise, we can wrap it up. Cool. Gonna do one last snapshot for the POAPs. Just a reminder to anyone that may or may not have heard earlier, we had planned on having a POAP for this call specifically, but there was some challenges with the curation process. We will not have a POAP distributed in this call through the bot, but instead have been taking some snapshots of those that have been participating throughout the call, chats, as well as attending in the audience for longer than a single snapshot. So, of course, looking to have some fun things sent your way, namely a POAP, but potentially some more interesting things coming out over the coming days. Again, congratulations, DXdao. It's very exciting to be here. 3 years of on-chain governance. Thank you, everyone, for attending today. We'll see you next week on Twitter. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending.